Okay, I'm going to talk about the rape of Persephone. She's also known as Kori, Proserpine. Her equivalents could be Ereshkigal and Cimmerian, and many others. This is also a cover-up. The Library of History by Diodorus Siculus doesn't go into the truth of the situation. He goes with the cover story that Hades came up and abducted her and took her down to Hades and raped her. And then the mother, Demeter, was very angry and burnt up the fields and wouldn't create a harvest. And thus Zeus had to step in and cause the return of Persephone to her mother. Now, the real truth is, and I'm going to show this once I get into the Dionysica by Nonus and some other books, is that Hades was, and I've already talked about this, he was killed as a child by his father Kronos. And he never is shown as having children in mythology because he never made it to adulthood. He was killed as a child. And and given the underworld. Now, underground Hades is another term for Zeus. It was Zeus who abducted Persephone. It is hidden, and it's uncovered in the writings of different authors, and it's part of the Eleusinian mysteries. This is the truth of it. But it's in the face value, it's played off that this god of the underworld, Hades, came and took her. Well, Hades was long gone. Persephone is the daughter of Demeter and Zeus, so he abducted his own daughter, and he raped her and impregnated her, and she gave birth to Zagreus, and that is a big part of my research, is this hidden human story. Zagreus was then taken by Zeus after returning Persephone to her mother. And he intended to raise this child and make him his heir. But as I've talked about, the Titans came in and possibly at the bidding of Hera and killed this child and cannibalized it. And he took the heart, which was the only thing remaining. And variances in the mythology say that either he made a potion and drank it, or he made a potion and gave it to Semele, and he impregnated Semele, thinking it would be the reincarnation of Zagreus, and that the soul was held in this heart. So I'm going to read a little bit from Diodorus Siculus's library history, because it gives us some of the information, but it's not going to give you the true identity of who abducted Persephone. But it's interesting, and like I said, as I get into some other work with the Dionysica, I'm going to show you that Dionysus is the reincarnation of Zagreus, which was the product of this rape of Persephone by Zeus. And by the way, Zeus is the equivalent of Enki, and when I get into Cimmerian mythology, I'm going to show you that it's the same story of Enki and Ninusarg, and Enki seducing her daughter to produce a male heir. But that'll be in another video. So let's read this. That the ancient inhabitants of Sicily, the Sicani, were indigenous is stated by the best authorities among historians, and also that the goddesses we have mentioned made their first appearance on this island, and that it was the first because of the fertility of the soil to bring forth the fruit of the corn, facts to which the most renowned of the poets also bears witness when he writes, "But all the things grow there for them unsown, and even untilled, both wheat and barley, yea, and vines which yield such grapes and fine grapes give, and rain of Zeus gives increase into them." Okay, I'm going to continue down here. Again, the fact that the rape of Kori took place in Sicily is, men say, proof most evident that the goddesses made the island their favorite retreat, because it was cherished by them before all others. And the rape of Kori, the myth relates, took place in the meadows in the territory of Ina. The spot lies near the city, a place of striking beauty for its violets and every kind of flower, and worthy of the goddess. And the story is told that because of the sweet odor of the flowers growing there, trained hunting dogs are unable to hold the trail because their natural sense of smell is balked. And the meadow we have mentioned is level in the center and well watered throughout. But on its periphery it rises high and falls off the precipitous cliffs on every side, and it is conceived of as lying in the very center of the island, which is the reason why certain writers call it the navel of Sicily. Near to it also are sacred groves, surrounded by marshy flats, and a huge grotto which contains a chasm which leads down into the earth and opens to the north. And through it, the myth relates, Pluton, coming out with his chariot, effected the rape of Corey. And the violets, we are told, and the rest of the flowers, which supply the sweet odor, continued to bloom, to one's amazement, throughout the entire year. And so the whole aspect of the place is one of the flowers and delight. And both Athena and Artemis, the myth goes on to say, who had made the same choice of maidenhood as had Corey, and were reared together with her, joined with her in gathering the flowers, and all of them together wove the robe for their father Zeus. And because of the time they had spent together in their intimacy, they all loved this island above any other, and each of them received for their portion a territory, Athena receiving hers in the region of Himera, where the nymphs, to please Athena, caused the springs of warm water to gush forth on the occasion of the visit of Heracles to the island, and the natives consecrated a city to her and a plot of ground, which to this day is called Athena's. And Artemis received from the gods the island of Syracuse, which was named after her by both the oracles and men, Ortiagia. On the island, likewise, these nymphs, to please Artemis, caused a great fountain to gush forth, of which was given the name Arethusa. Okay. Now it continues on. It says, like the two goddesses whom we have mentioned, Corey, we are told, received as her portion the meadow around Enya, and a great fountain was made sacred to her in the territory of Syracuse, and given the name Cyan or Azure Fount. For the myth relates that it was near Syracuse that Pluton effected the rape of Corey, and took her away in his chariot, and that after cleaving the earth asunder, he himself descended into Hades, taking along with him the bride whom he had seized, and he caused the fountain named Cyan to gush forth, near which the Syracusians each year hold a notable festive gathering, and private individuals offer their lesser victims, but when the ceremony is on behalf of the sacrifice, having been commanded by Heracles on the occasion when he made the circuit of all Sicily, while driving off the cattle of Geryones. After the rape of Corey, the myth goes on to recount Demeter, being unable to find her daughter, kindled torches in the craters of Mount Etna, and visited many parts of the inhabited world, and upon the men who received her with the greatest favor, she conferred benefactions, rewarding them with the gift of the fruit of the wheat. And since a more kindly welcome was extended the goddess by the Athenians than by any other people, they were the first after the Cycliote to be given the fruit of the wheat. And in return for this gift, the citizens of the city in assembly honored the goddess above all others with the establishment both of most notable sacrifices of the mysteries of Eleusis, which by reason of their great antiquity and sanctity have come to be famous among all mankind. Okay, so I'm going to stop. And basically, she finds her daughter, and Zeus gives her back. But I'll get into the rest of the story when I get into Nonus's work. But again, this is another part of the hidden human story, a cover-up within the covered-up mythology that they won't teach the public. Very interesting.